Hey everybody! In this video, I'm very excited to be talking about the newly released Excel add-in version 3.18. Included in 3.18 are additional arguments of a YCS function that is going to allow a user to resample data in Excel and perform aggregate functions on a data series. Before we get into an example of showing you how to do both, for those of you who don't know, to download the newly released add-in version at any time, hover over Tools at the top of the page and click on Excel. Once we're on this page, go ahead and click on Upgrade to whatever version of the Excel add-in is currently the newest. And then once you walk through the install wizard that is prompted after clicking that, you'll be able to utilize all the newly released functionality that we're about to walk through. And without question, I think the best way to walk through that functionality is through an example. So what we're going to do now is go over to an Excel workbook that I just created here. And to dive right into this, to best give you an understanding of how these aggregate functions and resampling works, in cell C3, all I'm doing is pulling in a YCS that the previous functionality in previous Excel add-in versions had the capability of doing. So all I'm doing here is pulling in GE's PE ratio over the last 365 days while retrieving the dates associated with the values. That's what's populated in columns C and D. And in the past, if you wanted to calculate the average of this PE ratio over time, we would have to hop over here into and do essentially what I did in cell G3. And what that is hopping in here and going into Excel and manually calculating that average through one of their pre-made functions. However, with Excel add-in 3.18, all that functionality is built into YCS calls, so you can perform aggregate functions on a YCS. Looking at the formula here in G4, you'll notice that this is going to be exactly the same as the formula in C3. The only exception is going to be we aren't going to retrieve a date associated with the data point that's returned, so you will not see that Y in the retrieve dates function argument. However, you will see mean in the aggregate function argument field. So getting deeper into this, going into that function argument box, you'll see these four newly added arguments, which are resample frequency, resample function, fill method, and aggregate function. And in cell G4, we are utilizing that aggregate function to return the mean of GE's PE ratio over the last 365 days. Going into another example of resample frequency now, I'm going to hop over into cell I3, which is where we're going to be pulling in the same exact formula that's in C3. However, notice that we're actually resampling this monthly. So hopping into this function argument box, scrolling down to those last four fields, notice that the only difference in those formulas is that now I'm going to be resampling this data series monthly and taking the last value in each month to have that monthly figure. What that's doing, if we hop over here and essentially look at what this is pulling in, if we look at the daily series in column D here, notice that the last value in August is 27.17, and that's going to be the value that's pulled in for 2016 8/31 on the monthly series. Similarly, if we look at September here in this monthly series, this is going to be 26.45, and notice that within the daily series, the last value in September is 26.45. Lastly, moving into an example where these functionalities are actually combined is going to be the formula that is in cell N4. And what we're doing here is taking the mean of the monthly PE ratio series. So again, you'll notice that The formulas are exactly the same here as in cell I3. However, I'm just inserting an aggregate function to take the mean of this particular data series, which is what I'm doing here in cell N3, just to give you a better understanding of what's going on here. And with that said, that's going to wrap up the functionality example part of this video. If you want to get a better understanding of the different resample frequencies, resample functions, aggregate functions, go to that Excel page on our website, click on reference guides here, and download the complete reference of metric codes. Within this workbook, you'll be able to click to the YCS parameter options and get a complete list of the fill methods, resample functions, resample frequencies, and aggregate functions. Really hope this video helps better explain 3.18. We definitely understand it's getting into some more advanced functionality in terms of the add-in. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to your customer support representative by going back to YCharts.com and hovering over support and clicking on contact us. We'd love to get you on the phone and explain this functionality more in depth if you have any additional questions.